Hello again, Struck Co-op. It is about time to do some deep dives into the Paragon trees for every class. And if you've been waiting for the Druid video, deep dive into the Druid Paragon trees, this is the video for you. Each class has 9 Paragon trees, one starting and 8 more that have a legendary note and offer a certain nudging towards a certain build to offer. For the Druid, those 8 are Thunderstruck, Earthen Devastation, Survival Instincts, Wust for Carnage, Heightened Malice, Inner Beast, Constricting Tendrils, and Ancestral Guidance. So I will be going through all of those, beginning with the starting Paragon, showing you all sorts of things about them, mostly the important ones. Hopefully the video is helpful and informative and you like it. Buckle up, Struck up, and let's go. First off, the starting Paragon tree, but before I mention some of the things about the tree, there are some things in general you need to know about the Paragon system. Every Paragon board out of the 9 has a glyph socket, so there's 9 glyphs you can take. The starting Paragon tree does not have a legendary note, but every other one has a legendary note, so there's 8 legendary notes to take. As you can see, those are basic stats here, which are 5 int, 5 dex, 5 strength, and 5 willpower. But there's also blue versions of those that give you +7. There's also yellow notes that give you certain things. There's also blue ones that give you more than just stats, certain mechanical things. But what you need to know is every Paragon board has gates. The starting node is the only one that only has one gate, attachment gate. It has a starting node, you always start from here, and then you need to reach that gate one way or another. You need to reach it. Once you reach that gate, you take another board, for example, this one, and you see each other board will have 4 gates on 4 sides, and you can rotate which gate goes where. You decide how to connect that board in the best way possible according to you. Taking certain things on the way. And as I mentioned, there's 9 glyphs, one for each board, including the starting. And if you have enough good glyphs, you could try a build where you're taking every single glyph socket. But keep in mind, unlocking the legendary node for the things you need would take around 15 to 20 points. 15 to 20 something points, Paragon points, and you have around 200-ish, so you would have to do some serious sacrifices if you want to go for a build with 9 glyphs. So most likely people would be going for 4 or 5 glyphs at most, and just focusing on the Paragon boards that they need for their build that synergize well with their skills. So let's now, after we've said those boring things, let's tell you about what's in the starting board for the Druid. On this side at the bottom, we have Tenacity, which gives you maximum life and armor, and if you have enough strength, you can increase that maximum life. If you have even more strength, increase it even further. If you have willpower, get some more max life. If you have even more willpower, get even more max life. Now there's 2 max life blue versions, added percent around it, and 2 flat added armor around it in blue. On the other side, Prime gives you weapon damage added percent and maximum life added percent. If you have enough intelligence, you can double that weapon damage, and if you have enough willpower, you can get even more of that weapon damage. There's 2 weapon damage added percent blue variety ones and 2 max life blue variety ones around it. Now above it, there is Resolve, which gives you resistance to all elements and a +10 willpower. The resistance to all elements is added percent and it can be doubled with enough dex. To help with the dex, there's 2 +7 nodes you can take. There's also more resistance to all elements around this one 3 times to take in blue variety. On the other side, you have Impel, which gives you weapon damage added flat, and it also gives you +10 willpower, and you can double the weapon damage that it gives with enough intelligence. And to help with the intelligence, there's 2+7 nodes around here. There's also weapon damage added 3 times around it in blue. Next up, let's move on to the first legendary Paragon node and board called Thunderstruck. Very, very good for me, I might say. It's my board. Storm skills deal increased critical strike damage X% multiplicative, increased critical strike damage against vulnerable or immobilized enemies. Here at the top we have something called Storm Cover, which gives you storm skill damage added % and +10 willpower. You can double that storm skill damage with enough dex. And if you need dex, there's +7 here and +7 there to help you with it in blue variety. There's also more added % storm skills damage 3 times in blue variety around it to take. Further down here we have Hubris, which gives you +10 willpower. It also gives you damage reduction from vulnerable enemies, and you can double that damage reduction from vulnerable enemies with enough intelligence. And to help with the intelligence, there's +7 here and +7 over here around it in blue variety to take. And if you need more damage reduction from vulnerable enemies, there's 3 blue variety versions around it as well. On the other side, there is something called Lightning Resilience, which gives you lightning resistance added %, max life added %, and you can get even more of that lightning resistance with willpower and even more with intelligence. There's 3 times more lightning resistance in blue variety around it to take, and 2 times more maximum life in blue variety to take. Now, if we go to the center of this board, there is something called Deluge or Deluge, which gives you crit strike damage added % and damage to crowd controlled enemies added %. If you have enough willpower and intelligence, you get crit strike damage doubled. That crit strike damage that it gives, it gets doubled. Now, if you haven't had enough of those stats, there's 2 times added % damage to crowd controlled enemies in blue and 3 times crit strike damage added % in blue to take around it. Further down here, there is something called Restorative that gives you potion healing bonus, and it also gives you add % max life. And that potion healing bonus can be doubled if you have enough willpower or intelligence, or tripled if you have both. Now here is max life, 2 times added % in blue and 3 times potion healing bonus in blue variety around it. And on the other side at the bottom there is something called Tempest, which gives you added % crit strike damage and added % vulnerable damage. You can double the crit strike damage with enough strength. And you can even get even more with int and dex, and even furthermore with willpower and dex. So if you get all those bonuses, you should probably get 4 times that crit strike damage. Now, if that's not enough, there are 3 more crit strike damage blue variety nodes around it to take and invest into. There's also 2 times vulnerable damage added % nodes in blue variety to take. The next Paragon 3 and legendary node for the Druid are called Earthen Devastation, which gives you your Earth skills deal 30% multiplicative increased damage to enemies afflicted by crowd control. If we go here at the top, there is something called Press, which gives you damage to crowd controlled enemies, and it also gives you critical strike damage to crowd controlled enemies. You can increase that damage to crowd controlled enemies once with willpower and another time with intelligence. So that should give you triple the damage to crowd controlled enemies if you have enough of both stats. If you haven't had enough of that, there is damage to crowd controlled enemies in blue variety. I'm assuming 3 times nearby. Yes, 3 times nearby. Added % damage to crowd controlled enemies, and critical strike damage to crowd controlled enemies added % twice around it in blue. On the other side, we have Diffused Resilience, which gives you damage over time reduction and resistance to all elements. The damage taken over time reduction is increased with intelligence and willpower, and then again with willpower, and then again with intelligence. If you need more resistance to all elements, there's 2 more of those in blue variety around it, and there's also 3 more damage taken over time reduction in blue variety added % around it. On the other side, in the middle, there's Resolve, which gives you resistance to all elements and +10 willpower. You can double that resistance to all elements with enough dex. And if you need dex, there's +7 on both sides of it in blue variety. Then there's 3 times resistance to all elements in blue variety around it, added percent to take nearby. In the middle at the bottom, there's something called Earthen Power, which gives you crit strike damage. And it also gives you +10 willpower. And this crit strike damage can be doubled with enough intelligence. I'm just double checking if this is not crit strike damage to earth skills only. Doesn't seem like it is. I don't think it is. I think it's crit strike damage overall, even though it's called Earthen Power. Now, if you need enough intelligence for that doubling bonus, there's +7 on the top and the bottom of it. And around it, there's 3 blue crit strike damage bonuses, added multiplicative, added percent around it. Now, on that side here, we have something called Slayer, which we know from the other classes gives us armor, and it also gives you potion healing bonus. And you can get even more armor with strength, even more with dex and willpower, even more with strength and willpower, and even more with willpower and intelligence. Now, if you need even more armor, there are 3 blue ones added around it in blue variety, and also there's 2 more potion healing bonus in blue variety around it. On the other side, at the bottom, there's Crushing Earth, which gives you Earth skill damage added percent, and it gives you critical strike damage to crowd-controlled enemies added percent, which can also double the Earth skill damage if you get enough willpower and dex. Now, there's 3 more Earth skill damage added percent bonuses in blue variety if you need them, as well as crit strike damage to crowd controlled enemies twice added percent if you need it. The next Druid, Paragon boards and legendary note are called Survival Instincts. While in werebear form, you deal one multiplicative percent increased damage up to 50 multiplicative percent for every 1% difference in current life percent between you and the enemy. This is very interesting how it works. Obviously, the lower your HP and the higher the HP of the enemy, the more damage you would do, and vice versa. Let's go over here. Zealous. This gives you added percent damage while healthy and added flat armor, and that damage while healthy added percent can be doubled with strength or dex, or increased even further with dex to a total of maybe 4 times that bonus if you have enough dex and strength. If you need even more of that damage while healthy, there's 3 blue nodes around it, and there's also more armor blue around it. On the other side, we have Spearhead, which is damage to healthy enemies as well as flat armor. The damage against healthy enemies added percent, and there's 3 more around it in blue variety as well as 2 more armor around it in blue variety. Here in the middle at the top we have damage bonus, rare major, which in my opinion would be damage bonus to werebear skills. This is just my guess. And you can double that if you have enough intelligence. This also gives you 10 willpower. And to help with the intelligence, there's +7 here and +7 there if you need it. As well as 3 more damage bonus to werebear skills over here. Below it, there's Battle Worn Hide, which gives you extra armor, flat, and it also gives you extra 10 willpower. And you can double that armor if you have enough dex. And to help with the dex, there's +7 here and +7 there in blue variety. And there's also enough armor over here. And I think this might be armor while in werebear form, because it's more than this one. It's a different armor bonus. So in my opinion, this should be armor when in werebear form, especially considering that it has the bear icon. So that should be armor when in werebear form. In my guess, 3 times inside flat. On that side here, we have Bulwark, which gives you damage reduction while fortified, and it also gives you fortified generation. Both of them are added percent bonuses. And you can increase the damage reduction while fortified with strength and willpower, and then again with willpower, and again with more willpower. And if you haven't had enough damage reduction while fortified, well, there should be 3 times more around here, and here. There's also 2 times fortified generation over there more in blue variety. Here on the other side at the bottom is Ursine, which gives you werebear skill damage. It also gives you overpower damage, both of them added %. You can increase the werebear skill damage bonus, double it with enough willpower and intelligence. There's also 3 times more werebear skill damage here, added % in blue variety, and 2 times more overpower added % in blue variety there to take. Now the next one is called Lust for Carnage, and Lust for Carnage gives you critical strikes with werewolf skills restore X spirit. So definitely an interesting way to become more spammy with the werewolf skills. Over here on this side we have Pharaoh, which gives you werewolf skill damage added % as well as 10 willpower, and you can double that werewolf skill damage with enough dex. And to help with the dex, there's +7 here and +7 above it. There's also 3 times werewolf skill damage added % in blue variety here. On the other side, regenerative gives you healing received as well as +10 willpower. You can increase the healing received with enough intelligence. To help with that intelligence, there's +7 here and +7 there. There's also 3 times healing received in blue variety around it. Below it, we can find something called Wild Skull, which gives you attack speed, and I'm assuming WoW in werewolf form most likely. It also gives you maximum shadow, which probably is maximum shadow resistance, in my guess. And then you can increase that attack speed even further with enough willpower and dex. And again, this might be attack speed WoW in werewolf form. Although judging by the icon, which gives you the wolf, the plant, and the poison, it could be a bonus to the raven, the vine, and the raven, the vine, and the wolves. It could be to the companions. I'm not sure, but it could be to the companions. Although I doubt it because I don't see the raven icon. Because we see some drop here. In any case, let's say this is general attack speed, and you can double it with willpower and dex. There's more attack speed here and here. Where is it? Here and here, 3 times attack speed. And this maximum shadow, again, I'm not sure what that shadow is. Would that mean maximum companions or what? In any case, you do get maximum shadow, and you do get maximum shadow here and here. It could be maximum shadow damage, it could be maximum shadow resistance, it could be maximum companions or maximum companion damage or whatever. This is beyond my comprehension right now. On the other side, recuperate gives you it gives you a potion healing bonus. It also gives you healing over time, and you can increase the potion healing bonus with willpower, again with strength, and again with intelligence. There's 3 times potion healing bonus in blue variety, and 2 times healing over time added over there in blue. Over here we have Ferocity, which gives you werewolf skill damage added % and crit strike damage added %. And then you can double the werewolf skill damage with enough willpower and dex. There's also crit strike damage in blue variety twice, and werewolf skill damage in blue variety 3 times around it. And on this side you have crowd control duration reduction, as well as damage taken over time reduction. And the crowd control duration reduction you can increase with dex, with strength, and then with dex and willpower. There's a damage over time, damage taken over time reduction twice in blue, and 3 times crowd control duration reduction around it in blue. The next one is called Heightened Malice. And the legendary node gives you, while there are 3 or more poisoned enemies nearby, you deal 45% multiplicative increased damage. Around it, there is something called Poison Resilience, which gives you poison resistance as well as max life, and if you have enough dex, more poison resistance if you have enough strength, more poison resistance. There's also 3 times blue version of more poison resistance around it, and 2 times more max life blue version around it. On the other side, poison conditioned, which gives you again poison resistance, but it also gives you armor. So there's more poison resistance with enough willpower and more poison resistance with enough intelligence. There's also 3 times more poison resistance around it in blue and 2 times more armor around it in blue. In the middle, there is Toxic Bane, which gives you damage to poisoned enemies added percent and flat poison damage added. You can increase the added percent damage to poisoned enemies with willpower and intelligence. There's 2 times poison damage flat added around it in blue and 3 times damage to poisoned enemies added percent around it in blue. On this side here at the bottom we have, well, not the very bottom, but below it, Overturn, which gives you damage to poisoned enemies added percent. And then there's also damage to elites added percent. And you can double that one with enough dex. And if you need more, there's 2 times damage added percent to elites around it, and also 3 times damage to poisoned enemies added percentage around it. On the other side, Sinking Fangs. Sinking Fangs gives you damage to poisoned enemies added percentage, also gives you plus 10 willpower, and you can double the damage to poisoned enemies with enough dex. And if you need dex, there's one on the left and one below it. As for the damage to poisoned enemies, there's 3 times more blue version around it to take. And here below, closer to it, we can find Nature Born, which gives you damage reduction from poisoned enemies, as well as plus 10 willpower. This damage reduction can be doubled with enough intelligence. To help with that, there's plus 7 on the left and plus 7 below it intelligence blue variety to take. There's also nearby damage reduction from poisoned enemies 3 times to take in blue variety around it. Next up, we have something very, very nice called Inner Beast. The legendary node gives you, after shape-shifting, your spirit costs are reduced by X%. I'm assuming this is going to be a fixed one for 5 seconds, up to X% times 3. So up to 3 times that percentage that we'll see there. What we see here is Havoc, which gives you crit strike damage added percent and physical damage added flat. The crit strike damage can be increased with dex and again with int. Another thing we can do here is there is physical damage 2 times the added flat and 3 times the crit strike damage added percent in blue variety. On the other side, we have Slayer, which gives you armor and potion healing bonus. And the armor is flat, and you can increase the armor with strength, then again with dex and willpower, again with strength and willpower, and again with willpower and intelligence for a beefcake armor bonus. 3 times more extra armor in blue if you need it can be taken, and 2 times more potion healing in blue bonus can be taken if you need it. Below it, we can find something called Nimbo, which gives you attack speed, and it also gives you weapon damage flat added, while the attack speed is added percent. You can increase the attack speed with dex and even more with even more dex. And if you need even more, there are 3 additional blue attack speed added percent nodes around it, as well as 2 more flat added weapon damage nodes around it. Below it, closer to the middle, is Shapeshifter, which gives you shapeshifting skill damage added percent, as well as 10 willpower. And this shapeshifting skill damage bonus can be doubled with enough dex invested. And you can get the dex plus 7 below it, and diagonally there's plus 7 above it on the right. There's also 3 shapeshifting skill damage flat bonuses around this node you can take in blue variety if needed. On the other side, we have Determination. And this gives you armor as well as plus 10 willpower, and the armor can be doubled with enough intelligence. And if you need intelligence, there's one below it, and then there's another one plus 7 blue node around it to take nearby. There's also 3 additional flat armor blue nodes around it to take for more if you need it. The next thing you can take as a Paragon board and legendary note is called Constricting Tendrils. And this gives you the following wacky hit. Nature magic skills have up to a 15% chance to entangle the enemy with vines, immobilizing them for 2 seconds and poisoning them for X% of the base damage dealt over 4 seconds. Over here at the top we have Denial, which gives you resistance to all elements added percent and flat armor, and the resistance can be boosted with enough dex and with enough strength even further. There's 3 more resistance to all elements around it in blue variety and 2 more armor in blue variety to take. On the other side, suffused resilience, damage taken over time added percent and added percent resistance to all elements. Damage taken over time reduction can be increased with intelligence and willpower, further with willpower, and further with intelligence. There's 3 more resistance to all elements around it in blue variety and 2 more damage taken over time reduction in blue variety around it. On the other side, a little below, is Superiority, which gives you damage to crowd controlled enemies added percent, and it gives you maximum life percent. The damage to crowd controlled enemies can be boosted with enough intelligence and even further with willpower. And if that's not enough around it, you have 2 times maximum life in blue variety and 3 times damage to crowd controlled enemies in blue variety. Below it, there is something called Devastation, which gives you nature magic skill damage. Nature magic means storm and earth skills. So if it says nature magic, it means storm magic and earth magic. So keep that in mind. So nature magic skill damage added percent and damage to elites added percent. And you can further boost the nature magic skill damage if you have enough intelligence. And if that's not enough, there's 3 more blue variety nature magic skill damage around it, as well as 2 more blue variety damage to elites around it. On the other side, we have something called Nature's Will, which gives you nature magic skill damage, as well as plus 10 willpower. And this nature magic skill damage can be boosted if you have enough intelligence. If you need intelligence, there's 1 on the left that gives you plus 7 and 1 blue note below it with plus 7 intelligence. And then if you need more nature magic skill damage, there's 3 blue ones around it that give you that added percent damage. Then further to the middle below it, there's Courage that gives you maximum life added percent as well as willpower. The life can be doubled with dex, and if you need dex, to the left and below it there is plus 7 notes. And if you need more of that added percent maximum life, there are 3 blue notes around it to take. Last but not least in any way in the Druid Paragon boards and legendary notes is Ancestral Guidance, which gives you the following bonus. After spending 75 spirit, you deal 30% multiplicative increased damage for 5 seconds. At the top, there is a bonus called Harmony that gives you core skill damage added percent as well as plus 10 willpower. The core skill damage bonus can be doubled with intelligence, and if you need intelligence, on the left of it there is plus 7 on a note, and if you go below and then to the right there is another plus 7 note. If you need more core skill damage, there are 3 more blue variety added percent notes around it. If you go a little bit to the left below it, there is something called Resolve that gives you resistance to all elements as well as plus 10 willpower. This resistance to all elements can be doubled with Dex. And if you need Dex, there is plus 7 above it and another plus 7 diagonally to it on the right below. And if you need even more resistance to all elements, well, there are 3 more blue variety added percent notes around it. On the other side, there is something called Natural Attunement, which gives you plus X maximum shadow. And again, this maximum shadow, I definitely have no idea what it is. It could be a few things. It could be shadow resistance, it could be shadow damage maximum, it could be maximum minion damage, it could be maximum minions. There are many things this could be. What is important to see is that we see the lightning the lightning symbol in the middle. Below it we see the plant symbol. Then we see the bear symbol and we see blood, which who knows what that could be other than bleeding. It could be poison though. In any case, it's interesting. Now, another thing that this gives is maximum life, and you can also double the maximum shadow with enough intelligence. There's 3 more of this maximum shadow around it in blue variety, and 2 more in blue variety maximum life. And if you go here down to the right side, we see reclamation, which gives you again a maximum shadow. That added a maximum shadow. It also gives you +2 spirit on kill, and the maximum shadow can be boosted with enough intelligence. Over here we have maximum shadow, which is 3 times in blue variety and 2 times spirit on kill with +1. This maximum shadow could also be maximum spirit. Keep that in mind. It could be maximum spirit. In fact, most likely it is maximum spirit because it has the same symbol as the spirit on kill. So I won't be surprised if that's what it really is. Over here, what we do have is core skill damage, and what we do have over there is basic skill damage. Both of them added percentage. And the core skill damage can be boosted, doubled with enough willpower and intelligence. And if you need more, there is 3 times more core skill damage in blue variety over here, and there's also basic skill damage in blue variety around it. And on this side we have potion healing bonus, and we also have healing over time. There's also willpower, which there is also potion healing bonus from willpower, another from strength, and another from intelligence if you meet the requirement. There's 3 more potion healing bonuses blue around it, and 2 more healing over time bonuses around it in blue. To get notified when I upload more content like this one or other builds and guides for Wooter and not so Wooter games, you can subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button to not miss out on notifications. As well as keep in mind there's something called memberships on YouTube, which lets you be a paying member for my channel to get access to perks such as emotes and badges made by me, as well as the option to get one-on-one tutoring for the very basics of Adobe Photoshop, Premiere and After Effects. And memberships can be cancelled at any time if you no longer want to be a member. Thanks for watching all the way until the end, Struck Web. Keep it cool until next time, and goodbye.